The first thing that happens when you eat once a day is a dramatic shift in insulin dynamics. Let me explain this with a simple analogy. Think of insulin as the storage manager of your body. Every time you eat, especially foods rich in sugar, refined starch, or frequent snacks throughout the day, insulin rises and tells the body, store this fuel first. When insulin stays elevated too often, your body has a harder time accessing stored fat. That is one of the hidden reasons many people say, I'm eating less, but I still can't lose weight. When you move to one meal a day, you create a long stretch of time where insulin stays low. During that fasting window, your body gets a different message. Use what we already have stored. That stored energy may come from liver glycogen first, then increasingly from body fat. This is why many people notice reduced bloating, steadier energy, and a drop in waist size when they transition properly. What the research shows is that time-restricted eating and extended fasting windows can improve insulin sensitivity, lower fasting insulin, and help regulate blood sugar in many adults, especially those with metabolic syndrome or prediabetes. A longer gap between meals gives insulin receptors a break and allows the body to respond better the next time you eat. Here's what's really going on inside your body around the 12 to 18-hour mark of fasting. Your liver begins lowering glycogen reserves, fatty acids begin increasing in circulation, insulin falls, glucagon rises, stored fuel becomes available. That metabolic switch is powerful. But here is the mistake people make. They eat once a day, but their one meal is processed food, bread, dessert, soda, and low protein. That creates a massive glucose spike and can erase many of the benefits. If you choose OMAD, the quality of the meal matters just as much as the timing. A strong OMAD meal should include high-quality protein like eggs, beef, chicken, fish, Greek yogurt, or tofu. Healthy fats like avocado, olive oil, nuts, olives, fibrous vegetables for minerals and blood sugar control. Optional smart carbs depending on activity level: potatoes, fruit, rice, beans. Start by delaying breakfast or removing snacks before jumping straight into OMAD. Build metabolic flexibility first. The second major change that happens when you eat once a day is increased fat burning, but not for the reason most people think. Many people believe fat loss only comes from eating fewer calories. Calories matter, but hormones decide whether those calories are stored or burned. Here's what's really going on inside your body. When you stop eating for an extended period, your body must switch fuel sources. First, it uses glucose circulating in the bloodstream. Then it taps into stored glycogen, the carbohydrate reserve, held in your liver and muscles. Once those reserves begin dropping, the body starts relying more heavily on stored fat. Let me explain this with a simple analogy. Imagine your body as a hybrid car. When fuel from food is constantly coming in, the engine keeps using the gas tank. But when no new fuel arrives for many hours, the system intelligently switches to the backup battery. In metabolic terms, that backup battery is body fat. This is why many people notice that stubborn belly fat starts changing when they stop grazing all day. Longer fasting windows also encourage the production of ketones in some people, especially if carbohydrate intake is moderate to low. Ketones are fuel molecules made from fat, and the brain can use them efficiently. Many people report better mental clarity, less afternoon crashing, and steadier focus once adapted. What the research shows is that intermittent fasting approaches can improve metabolic flexibility, meaning your body becomes better at switching between glucose and fat as needed. That flexibility is often lost in people who eat every few hours and rely on constant snacks. But there is an important warning. If your stress is high, sleep is poor, or protein intake is too low, your body may compensate by increasing hunger hormones later. Then the one meal becomes an uncontrolled binge. That is not strategic fat burning. That is rebound biology. So how do you use OMAD correctly for fat loss? First, stay hydrated during the fasting window. Use water, mineral water, black coffee if tolerated, or unsweetened tea. Second, walk daily. Fasted walking can help mobilize fat without overstressing the body. Third, break the fast with protein first. This reduces the urge to overeat ultra-processed foods. Fourth, keep expectations realistic. OMAD is not magic. It is a tool to help lower insulin and access stored fuel consistently. If you feel lightheaded, irritable, unable to sleep, or obsessed with food, the plan may be too aggressive for your current metabolism. Sometimes 2 meals a day works better than 1. The third thing that can happen when you eat once a day is something many people never consider: muscle loss. And this is where a lot of fasting strategies go wrong. People become so focused on losing weight that they forget to protect the very tissue that keeps metabolism strong, lean muscle. Let me explain this with a simple analogy. Think of muscle as your metabolic engine. The more healthy muscle tissue you maintain, the more glucose you can store safely, the better your insulin sensitivity tends to be, and the more calories your body uses at rest and during movement. So if you lose fat but also lose muscle, you may weigh less, yet have a weaker metabolism. Here's what's really going on inside your body when you eat once a day. Your body constantly balances two processes: muscle protein breakdown and muscle protein synthesis. To maintain or build muscle, you need enough total protein, enough essential amino acids, especially leucine, and a strong signal from resistance training. When you only eat once, you have fewer opportunities to trigger muscle protein synthesis across the day. That can be manageable for some people, especially younger adults who eat enough protein in one meal. But for older adults, women under stress, highly active people, or anyone already under-muscled, it can become a problem. What the research shows is that distributing protein intake across meals may support muscle maintenance more effectively than consuming the same total amount in one sitting, especially with aging where muscle becomes less responsive to protein signals. That means OMAD can work for fat loss, but if you do it carelessly, you may lose muscle with the fat. Here's how to protect yourself. First, prioritize protein aggressively. Aim for a protein-centered meal. Many adults need far more than they think. Examples: chicken, steak, fish, eggs, Greek yogurt, cottage cheese, tofu, tempeh. Whey isolate if tolerated. Second, lift weights or perform resistance exercise at least 2 to 4 times weekly. Muscles need a reason to stay. Third, if muscle gain is a priority, 2 meals a day may outperform 1 meal a day. Fourth, track strength. If your body weight drops but your strength collapses, that is a warning sign. And remember this key principle: the goal is not just to be lighter, the goal is to be metabolically stronger. The fourth thing that happens when you eat once a day is a shift in stress hormones, especially cortisol and adrenaline. This is where many people misunderstand fasting. They assume if fasting feels difficult, it must automatically be bad. Not exactly. Some temporary stress can be adaptive. Exercise is stress. Cold exposure is stress. Even learning new skills is stressful. The question is whether your body has enough resilience to benefit from it. Here's what's really going on inside your body. During a fasting window, blood sugar must remain stable even though food is not coming in. Your brain still needs fuel. To solve that problem, the body increases hormones like glucagon, adrenaline, and cortisol to help release stored energy. Cortisol helps your liver make glucose when needed. Adrenaline can increase alertness and energy. This is one reason some people feel sharp and productive while fasting. Let me explain this with a simple analogy. Think of cortisol as your emergency manager. When fuel is low, it opens storage rooms and keeps critical systems running. That can be useful in the short term. But if the emergency manager is already overworked because of poor sleep, emotional stress, overtraining, or too much caffeine, adding aggressive fasting can push the system too far. Then people experience morning anxiety, poor sleep, heart racing, irritability, energy crashes later in the day, stronger cravings at night. What the research shows is that sleep deprivation and chronic stress can worsen insulin resistance and appetite regulation. That means a stressed body often responds differently to fasting than a rested body. So if OMAD makes you feel amazing, that may signal good metabolic flexibility. If OMAD makes you wired, exhausted, and hungry at 10 p.m., that may signal stress overload. Here's how to use this intelligently. First, protect sleep. No fasting strategy can outrun poor sleep. Second, reduce stimulants during the fasting window if you feel jittery. Black coffee on an empty stomach is not ideal for everyone. Third, use gentler fasting during high-stress seasons. 2 meals a day may be smarter than OMAD during exams, heavy workloads, or emotional stress. Fourth, add calming inputs. Sunlight in the morning, walking, magnesium if appropriate, consistent bedtimes, and adequate sodium and hydration. Your body is not a machine. It is a stress adaptation system. The smartest plan is not the hardest plan. It is the plan your hormones can sustain. The fifth thing that happens when you eat once a day is a major change in hunger signals, cravings, and digestive behavior. And this can either work in your favor or completely sabotage the plan. Here's what's really going on inside your body. Your appetite is regulated by a network of hormones and brain signals. Ghrelin helps drive hunger. Leptin helps signal energy sufficiency. Insulin influences both hunger and satiety. Sleep, stress, food quality, and habits all affect this system. When people first switch to OMAD, hunger often comes in waves. That surprises people because they assume hunger should steadily rise all day. But hunger is often rhythmic, not linear. Let me explain this with a simple analogy. Think of hunger like a notification alarm. It rings at times your body expects food. If you normally eat breakfast at 8 a.m., you may feel hungry then not because you are in danger, but because your body predicts a meal. If you consistently change the schedule, those signals often adapt. This is why many people say the first week is hardest, then it becomes easier. But there is another side to the story. If your one meal is hyper-processed food, pizza, sweets, sugary drinks, chips, you may override natural fullness signals and keep eating long past true hunger. Highly palatable foods can disconnect appetite from actual nutritional need, then digestion becomes another issue. One huge meal eaten rapidly can cause bloating, reflux, heavy fatigue after eating, poor sleep if eaten late, constipation, if fiber and hydration are low. What the research shows is that slower eating, higher protein meals, and minimally processed foods improve satiety compared with ultra-processed meals. So how do you make OMAD work with appetite instead of against it? First, break your fast slowly. Start with protein or a salad, then continue the meal. Second, chew thoroughly and eat without distractions. Third, build volume with vegetables, protein, and whole foods. Fourth, stop eating when satisfied, not stuffed. Fifth, if you repeatedly binge during the meal, OMAD may not be the right tool right now. 2 structured meals may create better control. The sixth and most important thing that happens when you eat once a day is this. Your body reveals its current metabolic condition. OMAD is not just an eating schedule, it is feedback. For one person, eating once a day may lower blood sugar, reduce cravings, sharpen focus, and steadily remove stubborn belly fat. For another person, it may trigger fatigue, overeating, poor sleep, hormonal stress, and muscle loss. Same strategy, different body. Here's what's really going on inside your body. If you are insulin resistant, constantly hungry, snacking all day, carrying excess visceral fat, and struggling with energy swings, a longer fasting window may finally give your body enough time to lower insulin and access stored fuel. But if you are already lean, highly stressed, under-eating protein, recovering from illness, pregnant, dealing with an eating disorder history, or training intensely, OMAD may be the wrong tool entirely. Let me explain this with a simple analogy. Think of fasting like exercise. The right dose builds resilience. The wrong dose breaks recovery. No doctor would prescribe the same workout to every patient. The same should be true with meal timing. What the research shows is that adherence and metabolic context matter more than trendy labels. The best eating plan is one that improves biomarkers, body composition, energy, and consistency over time. So how do you know if OMAD is working for you? Good signs: stable energy, reduced cravings, improved waistline, better fasting, glucose, clearer focus, no binge behavior, good sleep. Warning signs: obsessive thoughts about food, loss of strength, hair shedding, poor sleep, irritability, constipation, night, cravings, feeling cold, constantly rebound, overeating. Here is the smarter progression I often recommend. Step 1, remove snacks. Step 2, move to 3 meals. Step 3, try 2 meals in an 8-hour window. Step 4, use OMAD selectively 2 to 4 days per week if it feels supportive. You do not need to eat once a day forever to benefit from fasting. Sometimes the best strategy is flexibility. 2 meals most days, 1 meal occasionally, feasting wisely after training, and prioritizing protein always. Your body thrives on signals of safety, nourishment, movement, and rhythm. What happens when you eat once a day? Insulin often falls, fat burning may rise, hunger hormones can adapt, mental clarity may improve, but muscle loss, stress overload, digestive strain, or binge eating can also appear if the strategy does not match your biology. That is the real lesson. There is no magical meal frequency. There is only physiology. The goal is not to copy what worked for someone else online. The goal is to understand your own body well enough to choose the right tool at the right time. Try just one change today. Remove snacks, delay breakfast, increase protein, walk after meals, track your sleep and hunger. Then watch how your body responds, because your body is always giving data. If this added value, like the video and subscribe to join others optimizing their health naturally.